All right, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're here for the Liberal Arts and Sciences course admitted student webinar. So a little bit of an overview of the Liberal Arts and Science program. Everyone here has an offer to study in Liberal Arts and Sciences, maybe among other offers. So this is to kind of give you an idea of what to expect in this course, what it is. It's a bit unique among UCD and Irish courses. So we'll walk you through kind of what your experience will be like in the first couple of years of the course. It is a meeting format, so at the end of the kind of presentation overview, we'll have a chance for a question and answer. You can type questions in the chat as we go. You can unmute yourself and ask them out loud at the end when we get to the question and answer part. And feel free to throw any questions or anything that needs clarification into the chat, and I'll be able to see that and be able to hopefully help you out as you make your decision. So yeah, we'll jump into it since we're a little tight on time today, but some more people might be joining as we go through. So as I said, this is the Liberal Arts and Sciences Admitted Student Webinar. My name is Jim Pearson. I am the Senior Admissions Officer for UCD in the North America Global Center. I'm based in Chicago, not in Dublin. As you can tell, I don't have the Irish accent, but it's an auspicious week for UCD. St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow, so I hope everyone has some great plans and at least going to have, you know, something green, something Irish, and wear some green for St. Patty's Day tomorrow. So if you attended our admitted student webinar a couple weeks ago, or if you've attended some of our events, you know that we have a big team across North America. I work with all students in North America on questions or concerns around admissions and then helping them process their offers and figure out how to get into UCD and what the best fit is for them. But you all have individual regional reps for each region of North America. So hopefully you've met with some of my colleagues, but if you haven't, their information is here. If you live in the Northeast in the green area on the map, my colleague Carly Harward is your representative. She's based in New York and is a rep for all students from New England, New York, and the Eastern provinces in Canada. In the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic is Kendall Hook. She lives in Nashville and helps students all along the rest of the Eastern coast. In Chicago with me, as well as Bridie Troy, who works everyone from the Midwest and the central mountain regions of the US. And then my colleague Chelsea Weaver is out in Seattle and she helps West Coast students. So as I say, you have a great support system and a lot of resources available for you in North America. And we're all here to help. We know that choosing a university, choosing a course is a big decision. And there's a lot to work through and a lot of questions, and especially going abroad and going to another country brings up a lot of questions and concerns, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So we're here to kind of help resolve that and figure that all out. And we'll have a lot more information about the course and everything else, but I hope if you have questions, you'll reach out to my coworkers. And then just a reminder that we're having a series of over 20 in-person meet and greet sessions. So if you should have gotten information about that directly to your email inbox, but we're having offer holder events where you'll be able to meet other offer holders. If you're a family member, you can meet other parents, family members, and get to know each other and see other people that are going through this, you know, somewhat crazy journey of going to school in Ireland. And then you'll be able to, you know, have a bite and talk to some staff members that'll be there in person to welcome you. So we have events in Boston, New York, Chicago, Seattle, San Francisco, and then, you know, a ton more in a lot of other areas across the country. So check your email for that information and then register RSVP for those events, because it's a great way to connect with other students and to learn a little bit more and meet some of us in person. I'll be in Chicago, Seattle, and San Francisco next week and the week after, so hopefully I'll see some of you there. So we're here to learn about the Liberal Arts and Sciences course. It is unique, as I said, among Irish university courses and among UCD courses. So if you know or have researched much into European education, you'll know that it is much more focused and directed than you'd see in the US. I used to work at University of Connecticut, and I worked with a student that changed her major 8 times in 4 years. And that's not something that typically happens in Ireland. Typically in Ireland, you choose your subject, you go into that subject, you take nothing else, you never switch, and you graduate with a major in what you entered in. So if you come in engineering or you come in art history, you will do that the whole time you're there, graduate in that degree, and you don't move around. It doesn't offer a lot of flexibility, but that's not what we're used to coming from the States. So we created this program back in 2010 just for American students at the time. It has since expanded to be available to students from everywhere outside of Europe. So we had just one student back in 2010, and 13 years later, we had 31 students start last year from 9 countries. So it is a diverse program, but it is a small community. So you're in a small group, you get individualized advising, you get a lot of individual attention. So you'll be able to explore your options in a way that provides structure and support. And it's created to offer the flexibility that the Irish system doesn't offer. So there's great opportunities there that you could explore a few different programs, take classes in a couple different subjects before you jump in to your subject and go on to your major. So that's why our students from North America love it, because if you are torn between, biology and politics, you'll get to take a couple courses in each before deciding which one's actually right for you, which is a great opportunity because you might not have had the chance to take college level courses before, so this will give you that opportunity. So before we go into a little more detail about what your experience will look like, depending on what you're interested in, this is a lot of UCD jargon, but it's important to know what some of these words mean because some of the language and vocabulary is a little bit different at UCD. And as we walk through what things look like, it's good to have this basis and this background. Oh, and just a reminder that this session is being recorded and you'll get a copy of the recording in your inbox. So if you don't get a chance to take the notes on everything, you'll be able to see it, see the YouTube video in a couple days, and you'll be able to take note or check back on what we've talked about through this session once the recording gets sent out. So jumping into some of this little detail stuff, at UCD, a single class that you take, your intro to politics or intro to biology class, is usually called a module. Sometimes you'll hear it used interchangeably, but you'll hear things like module registration, module grades, module exams. So the module is the individual class that you'll take. And typically in UCD, a module is worth 5 credits. As you get later in your years, when you get into your 3rd or 4th year, you might see that some of your modules are worth 10 or 15 or even 20 credits. But that's usually like if you go into your research program at the end of your science degree. Say you might have a 15 or 20 credit module in research because you're doing much more work in that and not taking other classes. But usually throughout your first few years, every class typically will be worth 5 credits. Every module will be worth 5 credits. And then you'll take 6 modules or 30 credits per trimester. Now you'll also hear that trimester is thrown around a lot. UCD operates on what we call trimesters, but undergraduate students only attend in fall and spring. So you can think about it like a semester system because the summer trimester is just for graduate students that do their internship or their research thesis in the summer. So the summer trimester exists and will be referenced, but you're only going to be in class fall and spring semester or trimester. And then over a standard academic year, fall and spring, you'll take 12 modules or 60 credits. So you'll take 6 modules per trimester, 12 over the whole year. And then when we talk about, this gets a little more confusing for liberal arts and science students, because a stage is generally equivalent to a year, but not exactly. So in liberal arts and science, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, stage 1 may take 2 years to get through, because sometimes some courses within liberal arts and science extend the normal length of the program from 3 years to 4 years, which is where you get that extra flexibility. So stage is generally talking about where you are within your course and how far you've gotten, like what year you are within your course, whereas year is how long you've been at UCD, like your first year at UCD, your second year. So it's generally the same, but a little bit different. And then within each program, each course that we offer, there are 3 types of modules. There will be core modules. Every student within that major has to take these specific modules. So every student in science has to take their intro to biology and their principles of scientific inquiry module. So they're required. You're going to take that no matter what. An optional module usually means you'll get a list of maybe, say, 20 modules for stage 2 in social sciences, and you can pick 4 or 5 or 6 of them to take depending on your interests. So if you're in politics and you're more interested in European politics, you'll take a couple of those. But if you're more interested in politics in Asia or Africa, you'll take some modules in that. So you get a little more flexibility, but it's all within your major. And then elective modules are, you get the chance throughout your time at UCD to take 1 or 2 modules per year in any subject you want. So if you're a science student, you can take art history. If you're a music student, you can take business. So you get a little flexibility to, kind of expand your horizons and see what else is out there and dabble in a few different things. So this large, busy chart shows you kind of the structure of liberal arts and science and kind of demonstrates all the options that you'll have in it. So it talks through what your years in UCD will look like as you go through the liberal arts and science course, depending on what subject you end up choosing. So the big bar at the top, year 1, all of you will be, if you choose liberal arts and sciences, in liberal arts and science the first year. After that first year in LA&S, if you go into one of the courses on the left of the diagram, you'll go in to your subject after year one. So that would be agriculture, food and human nutrition, science, social sciences. You go straight into those after your first year at liberal arts. So it's a little bit quicker. You get a little fewer options in exploring courses in your first year, and then you go right into your subject after the first year. If you go into one of the courses on the right, engineering, city planning, business, architecture, then you'll get 2 years within liberal arts, and then you'll go into your course in year 3. So you get a little bit more time to explore options, to check out things that might interest you. If you're deciding between one of those, you'll have a little bit more time before you have to make a commitment. The one different one is right in the middle is the arts and humanities subjects going into BA Arts. If when you get to UCD's campus, you're in liberal arts and you realize all I want to do is study history and art history, then you can go through year 1 in liberal arts and then jump straight into year 2, go into arts and humanities and graduate in 3 years. That's your one option to get through liberal arts in 3 years, because you can just say, actually, I realized I should have been in BA Arts and Humanities the whole time. I'm going to go straight into it. But if you're still deciding between art history and business, you can do 2 years in liberal arts and sciences and then year 3 and 4 in the arts program before you graduate. Then the important thing to note with this at the end is you'll see the titles of the degrees that you get at the end of your 4 years or 3 years at UCD in the liberal arts and science course, a BSc, a BA, whatever it is. You're going to get the same degree at the end of your time at liberal arts and science than if you went directly into the course. So you won't get a different kind of science degree or a different kind of architecture degree at the end of your program. You get the same degree as any other student that went in directly, but you get that added flexibility by going into liberal arts and sciences. So you get a little bit more time to consider your options before you think about it or before you commit to something. And now this kind of progression pathway kind of explains what we just saw in a different way. So over on the left, you'll see end of year 1. If you want to go into one of those 5 subjects, agriculture, food science, human nutrition science, or social sciences, you'll declare for that course at the end of year 1. You'll progress into stage 2 of that course. And then as long as you passed all the prerequisite modules, you're in that subject and you're off in agriculture or science doing whatever you want to do in there. But if those courses aren't for you, you'll do another year in liberal arts, and at the end of year 2, then you'll declare for arts, architecture, city planning, engineering, and then you'll progress into stage 2 of that pathway in year 3. And that's where we see that year and stage are slightly different at UCD, but you'll go into that, and then you'll have another 2 years before you graduate and be able to go on. So that's kind of the basic overview of the course. And the idea is that you will explore your options within the different subjects throughout this time. The other thing is at the bottom of the slide, you can see that you have to pass prerequisite modules during year 1 or year 1 and 2, depending on the course you go into. Every course has requirements to be able to progress on to the next stage. Some of those may be passing maths modules. If you want to go into engineering or architecture or science, you need to take the right math or science modules to get the prerequisite courses to go on to the next year of subjects. But you have to make sure that you're passing the classes that are part of the subject you want to go into. Now, the rest of this, the tough part with liberal arts and science is that there's so many options, and it is hard to narrow down what's out there. And some of you may know what you want, thinking about it now. You may be directed into science or business or arts, but some students that I work with in liberal arts and science really have truly no idea of what they want. They want time to experience university life and courses at the university level and see what's a good fit for them. So your experience in liberal arts will look very different depending on whether you have a very solid focus on what you want to do or whether you want to explore and truly dabble in things. So that'll change a little bit, but we'll talk through what some of that might look like as you explore your options. So if you're thinking about going into the arts and humanities, if you are a kind of artsy person or arts and humanities person, I studied history at undergrad, then this is going to kind of give you an idea of what your options are within the College of Arts and Humanities. And this big table with all the check marks shows you how degrees are structured within the College of Arts and Humanities. So all arts degrees are done as a double major, essentially. So you will pick 2 subjects all within the arts. Very common subject combinations are like English and drama studies, music and film, Greek and Roman civilization, and Greek or Latin or something like that, or doing like Irish folklore into English or art history. So, I mean, there are a lot of different options of different subjects you can do. Not every subject can be paired with every other subject just due to timetabling constraints and when modules are offered at different times. So some things you can't do, for example, on this chart won't have a check mark, so you can't do a double major in drama studies in Celtic civilization. Just because of the way the courses line up, you wouldn't be able to take the classes you need to get that double major. But there's a broad array of options depending on your interests in what you want to do within the course. So you can look through all the different subjects we offer in arts and humanities, and then as you go into liberal arts, you can explore some of these subjects along with something else like science or architecture to be able to see what's a good fit for you. And then in your first year, if you're thinking you're an arts and humanities person, this is a kind of example of what your first year might look like. In autumn trimester, you might take 2 courses within kind of the arts and humanities, like an Irish studies and a humanities course, and then you can really take 3 or 4 courses from anywhere else. So you can take a couple arts courses, and you can also take a business, a science, and architecture to really get that option to explore things and see what you want. And then the same thing in your next trimester, you can take a couple arts modules and then take modules from across the subject area. And because most students will do arts and humanities with 2 years in liberal arts and science, you do get a lot of flexibility in your first year to take a lot of different subject choices. And some of the things, these are some example modules that you might take if you're interested in arts and humanities, and it kind of gives you an idea of the breadth of subjects that you can study. So beginner's Latin or exploring archaeology, if you're thinking about doing something like archaeology and classics, something like that. You can take languages like Portuguese or Italian or Spanish, Greek or history courses. So, I mean, there are a lot of different options you can take. And if you really don't know which art subject you want to do, then take Vikings in the Celtic world and take classical Greek and take Spanish and see which one's a good fit for you. And then take a couple other courses in architecture or business and really be able to explore. If you're thinking about going into the social science subjects, it works a lot like the BA Arts and Humanities, where you do a double major, or in some cases a major and a minor. And there are 8 subjects within social sciences that you can choose from. So as you're coming into liberal arts and sciences and looking around and seeing what's available, you can look at these social science courses and see what might be a good fit for you. And maybe you want to do philosophy and politics, or maybe you want to do economics and social justice. You'd have a lot of opportunities to choose different majors and pair them together into your program. So these are the subject combinations that are available through the BSc Social Sciences course. So you'll be able to explore what these mean while you're in liberal arts and sciences. And if you're in liberal arts and want to go into social sciences, you do the liberal arts course for 1 year and then go do years 2, 3, and 4 in social sciences. So you get the opportunity. This is a little bit stricter than I think you might have seen from the arts and humanities subject. So with this, more or less half of your subject or half of your modules in your first year are going to be in the social sciences. So you don't get as much flexibility to dabble in different areas because you're only doing 1 year in liberal arts, and to stay caught up and be able to move on to stage 2 of social sciences after this, you need to take enough social science modules to meet the prerequisites to go on to the next stage. So your first trimester, you'll have half of your modules will be in social sciences, and the other half will be from somewhere else. So if you do get that chance to still explore and see what's a good fit for you. So you'll take, as you can see in the autumn trimester list, an example of 3 different social science courses you take in 1, 2, and 3, and then modules 4, 5, and 6 is when you get to explore. But then by spring trimester, 4 of your modules will be in social sciences and 2 will be in something else. So it still does give you a chance to explore a little more, but that by spring trimester in social sciences is when you start needing to focus in a little bit more and make sure that you're meeting the prerequisites you need by taking the intro politics or intro archaeology courses you need to progress on to the next stage. And these are some of the modules that you might look into taking in your first year in social sciences, in liberal arts and science. And a lot of this will depend on what your interests are within social sciences. Maybe you never want to take economics, or maybe that's all you want to take. So you can take quantitative economics or intro to econ or macro. But if that's not what you're looking for and you're looking for politics, you can take globalization, contemporary politics. So you have a lot of options to explore within the social sciences and figure out what your double major, major minor combination will be in social sciences. And then you do a year of these courses and then move on and progress into the social science course as a full-time social science student. Another course that you do 1 year in liberal arts and then move on to science, or move on to your course, is the sciences. And we talk about sciences as if it's a monolith, but there are over 20 different options within the sciences for what your actual subject you study will be. And that varies a lot, whether it's in biological, chemical, or mathematical sciences. That can be environmental biology, genetics, it could be chemistry, medicinal chemistry, or it can be geology, physics, physics with astronomy. So there's a lot of science within that, and you'll graduate with your BSc in science in one of these subjects. And in your first year at UCD, you'll take a couple science courses your first trimester, and then almost all of your spring trimester will be in the sciences because there are a lot of prerequisites to meet. So this is where you definitely see that there's a lot more structure around this than in other courses because you need to meet the requirements for first year science to move into stage 2 science. So your first trimester, you do, again, get a little bit more flexibility and subjects to choose, but then you have 5 of your 6 modules in spring trimester will be within science. So it is a little bit more bespoke in making sure you're taking the courses you need to be able to progress on. And then some of those courses you might take, you can see that there's a lot of options, as you saw before, that there are a lot of different science subjects. So your choices within science will vary from astronomy and space science to organic chemistry and a bunch of other things involved with that. So if you are a science student and you really want to go into sciences, this is a great option to be able to explore different science subjects and then be able to get a very specialized degree within the sciences. One of our more common courses for students to progress into through liberal arts is the Bachelor of Commerce or our BSc Business degrees. These are traditionally a 3-year degree program at UCD. So if you were to go in direct entry, you would graduate in 3 years with your Bachelor of Commerce or your BSc in Business, but the Liberal Arts and Science course turns it into a 4-year degree. You get your first 2 years in liberal arts and then your second 2 years in business, and you get that flexibility that is the hallmark of the LA&S program. And because you get 2 years, it is a lot more flexible in that you'd only take 2 or 3 business courses your first 2 semesters at UCD because you have more time to take the stage 1 modules that you need. So you get more time to explore your options. And one of the students I worked with a couple of years ago that started, he just progressed into arts and humanities, but he spent basically until his last day in year 2 in liberal arts deciding between business and arts and humanities. And he took courses in both areas throughout his first 2 years because he really couldn't make up his mind about what he wanted and what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go with his life. And that's really the joy of doing the liberal arts and science courses. You get the time to figure that out. And then you'll see there are 11 modules here that are all required for students to be able to go on to business after their 2 years in liberal arts. So you'll take these 11 modules, and they all have to be taken and passed either in year 1 or 2. So that means that normally you do 24 modules over 2 years. So 11 of them would be in business and the other 13 can be in other subjects, and you get that flexibility. And then one other course that has a lot of options within it is agriculture. In addition to food science and human nutrition, there are 12 different agriculture courses that we have as individual kind of subjects or majors that you can go into, and they're very different in a lot of ways, like forestry and animal science have a lot of overlap within the early years, but later on they'll be very different courses. So they are different majors. So there's a lot within agriculture that you can explore. And this is another course that you would do 1 year in liberal arts and 3 years in agriculture. So you will get the opportunity to explore these courses through liberal arts, but you're going to have to make your decision to go into agriculture a little quicker. You'll see that this is the structure for year 1 in agricultural science. There will be a couple agriculture modules that are required, mathematics and chemistry, and then you get to choose an agricultural science module in your autumn trimester. And then really 4 or 5 of your spring trimester courses will usually be in agriculture to be able to set you up to be able to go on to animal science or plant biology or agri-environmental sciences. So there are a lot of subjects you can choose within the School of Agriculture, and they all offer great opportunities. And this is really a great option to explore among those and explore a couple other subjects within UCD. So that was a very quick overview of what's available to you through the liberal arts and science degree. And there is a lot there. As you see, there's a lot of different subjects, a lot of different majors, and a lot of ways to progress through this pathway. Now, hope you've looked through all that, and maybe you know what you want, or maybe you're really up in the air. And now is a great time to really ask yourself, is liberal arts and science the right course for you? Some of you may know 100% that it is, and that's great. If you want flexibility and time to consider your options at UCD, LANS is awesome. And there's nothing else like it at UCD because there's no other way to be able to take business and arts and humanities courses in your first year, your first 2 years, before continuing on to one subject. So you don't get any other option like this at UCD. And if you want that flexibility you're kind of used to from the American perspective, then this is a good opportunity for you. So if this is what you want, then you're good to go. You have your offer to LANS, you'll accept your offer, we'll go through updates in the summer to do module registration, and then you can take the time between now and September when classes start to explore what you can do in liberal arts, to read more about the agriculture courses or the city planning course and figure out what is the right fit for you, or try and explore what you want to do in your first year to see what's a good fit for you. But maybe you've listened to all this and you're like, actually, I don't know if this is for me. Maybe I do know what I want and I want to go directly into a course. And that's fine. You still have time to apply directly into a course. If you've gone through all this and you realize nothing else is of interest to you and you want to do architecture 100%, you can submit a brand new application to architecture, or if you already have an offer, you can accept that offer to another course. If you need help, you can connect with your regional rep and we can explore putting in a new application or what that might look like, how it might change for you. Entry requirements do vary. That's one of the benefits of liberal arts and science course, is that it has different entry requirements than going directly into architecture or science or social science. So if you don't meet the direct entry requirements, maybe that won't be an opportunity for you. But if you do, you could say, hey, I want to go into architecture, go straight into it and graduate in 3 years instead of 4. So it is an opportunity for you still and throughout the rest of the year to think about it, because you can apply for a new course up until really August when registration starts happening. So you do get time to think about it. So this is what we're here for. Our team is here to help you make these decisions and figure out what the right course is for you. And a lot of students we talk to, liberal arts is the right course for them because, like we said, that is what they're looking for, is that flexibility and that opportunity to explore. But as you go through the rest of the spring and into summer, and if you realize your heart is set on one major, we can maybe help you figure out how to go straight into that instead of taking a little extra time in liberal arts and science. And then I did just see a question, Caroline, about the BA Arts in English. So that is one course that operates a little differently in liberal arts. The standard BA English course is a 3-year degree. In liberal arts, if you come in and realize on day one in liberal arts, when you arrive on campus, that actually all you want to do is English or art history or one of the other art subjects, you can go into the BA Arts course after your first year and graduate in 3 years. But if you really want to explore a ton of different options, then it'll be a 4-year course. You'll do 2 years in liberal arts and 2 years in the BA Arts and get your English major with something else after 4 years. So it does offer a little bit more flexibility. Most students will end up doing a 4-year course. And then BBS, what the disadvantages are of choosing LANS. The big disadvantage is if you're going into a course that is normally 3 years, it will be 4 years through liberal arts. And that would be, I'm going to rewind real quick to one of my earlier slides. Sorry for the motion sickness. That will be the courses on the right here. If you were going to go into architecture, business, city planning, or city planning, those are usually 3-year degrees. And if you come into liberal arts and sciences, they're going to be a 4-year degree. So it may take a little bit longer to get through those courses. If you really want flexibility, then maybe that's worth it for you to take a little bit extra time. Or there are students that don't meet the direct entry requirements to go straight into business or architecture because those tend to have very high entry requirements with high GPA or test score requirements. So if you don't meet those, then this is a great way to be able to still take that course and graduate with that degree, but you have a little more flexibility because your first 2 years will prepare you for it. So that's what the big difference, the big drawback is for liberal arts and science, is that it may take an extra year. Otherwise, I mean, if you're going into science, agriculture, social sciences, you can really make it so there's no difference. You do get a lot of flexibility in your first year before you progress into those, but in that first year, if you know after the first day you want to do social sciences, you can do most of your courses in politics and economics or whatever your subject choices are. So you can do a more focused degree program. So Cecilia asked how the classes are structured and what the average size is. So that'll vary a lot subject to subject and module to module. So at the smaller end will be things like language classes. If you're doing Italian, German, Spanish, a lot of those are discussion based. You'll get a lot of classes that'll be, 15 students or something like that. If you're going into one of our more popular programs like politics, English lit, something like that, your classes in your first couple of years will probably be large lectures and small discussion sections every week. So you'll have a large lecture, which might be, 100, 200 students in the lecture, and then you'll have a discussion section at the end of the week that might be 20 students, where you'll meet with your faculty member in a smaller group setting. And it's a lot like a big state school you might experience in the US, where you'll do kind of a big lecture talking about larger themes, larger ideas for everyone in the big lecture hall, and then a smaller discussion section to really talk through what that means and to ask questions and be able to figure out more of what the experience is. I'd say the big difference for a lot of students coming over to UCD and most Irish education is the way you're graded is very different, and the way kind of the learning experience is kind of structured, and that especially compared to high school and definitely compared to a lot of US universities, it's much less work throughout the year and a lot more focus on exams. So some of the courses in some of the modules at UCD, your final grade in the module might be 70% based on your final exam, and then 20 or 30% based on a paper or a project or a midterm or something like that. And those would be your only grades. So you won't usually have weekly reading quizzes or unit exams every other week, or book reports to turn in every month or something like that. It's much less common to see that kind of what's called continuous assessment, where you're doing work constantly that's being graded throughout the year. With this, it's a lot more focused on the exam at the end of the year, where you'll take a final exam in a giant exam hall and then maybe one or two other graded projects. So it's very different than what you'll experience in high school. That kind of learning experience. It is nice if you're more of an independent learner, if you can show up to lectures and do the readings and ask questions when you need help and then be able to, study for an exam. It's a really good fit. But if you have a lot of exam anxiety, it's worth preparing yourself and thinking about that and how it will fit in for your personality. And then there was a question about, Logan had a question about the option for engineering students. So engineering, it works a little bit differently than most of the other courses in doing engineering through liberal arts. It is a 4-year degree in liberal arts, and you'll do 2 years within liberal arts and sciences before going on to engineering. But you graduate with, at UCD, it's called a BSc in engineering, a Bachelor of Science of Engineering, not a Bachelor of Engineering. So if you wanted to be able to be a practicing certified engineer in Ireland or the United States, you'd have to do a 5th year to finish up the Bachelor of Engineering program. So I can connect you with our College of Engineering and Architecture if engineering is what you're really looking for. If you want to send me an email or connect after this, or reach out to your regional rep, because it does work a little bit differently than the other courses, because engineering is a professional program that has accreditation issues that it works a little bit differently, but it does give you the option to go into engineering and then graduate with your Bachelor of Science. Some students that want to do engineering in practice will do our Bachelor of Science in Engineering through liberal arts and then do a master's program in engineering after that, which will get you certified and be able to practice as an engineer in 100 countries around the world. So that's a good option. And then the question around what dual honors degrees are. So dual honors usually is really just meaning a double major. So we call the BA-U5 BA joint honors or BA 2 subject. That is really just meaning that doing the BA course, you'll do a double major over the degree program and graduate with a bachelor's degree with 2 majors. So, English and drama or film and music. So the difference between doing the BA joint honors versus liberal arts and science is the BA joint honors is a 3-year degree, and doing those subjects through liberal arts is a 4-year degree. So that's one where if you want to do just arts and humanities subjects, it's worth talking to us or your regional rep and saying, all I'm interested in is art history and history. Then we can let you know what the BA course is like and maybe help you accept an offer into the BA course instead of liberal arts, because then you can go through it a year sooner and graduate in 3 years instead of 4. But like I said, with Irish degrees, it just means that you don't have flexibility if you choose to do that, but you still have some, maybe desire to go into business or architecture. You wouldn't be able to explore that. You'll be stuck within the arts and humanities course for the whole time. So it really doesn't matter a lot around what your focus is and what you really want to do. So I know this is a lot to think about and consider and work through, and that's why we're here to help you and to answer these questions. A lot of students have gone through this program. Like I said, we have 30 students in it right now, and we have students that are, it's our most popular single course, and it can set you up really well to go on to whatever you want to do after. Like Patrick, who joined the liberal arts and science course and moved on to a Bachelor of Commerce in business, and then later on continued at UCD to get his Master's of Science in Business Aviation Finance, working for an aviation company in LA. I mean, he talks here about how liberal arts and science gave him the opportunity to explore, to be able to see different disciplines and figure out what he wanted to do and what his passion was. And then, I think also a benefit of doing a liberal arts curriculum in general is being able to explore different subjects, getting experience in different areas. And even if you go into business, you can still have a background in history or English lit to be able to, have that liberal arts background to benefit you going forward. And then Mackenzie Sawyer graduated a couple years ago with her BA Arts course, and it gave her the option to explore biology, linguistics, and music before she moved on to the BA Arts subject and graduated with a double major in history and Irish folklore. So she is a great example of why the liberal arts program is here and who can benefit from it, because she took courses across 3 different colleges in UCD, 3 different very distinct subject areas before settling on something totally different. So this is a great example of a student that wants time to explore, wants to see what's out there, wants to take a couple courses in a couple different areas before settling on something and committing to it. And I think this is a great example of why we created liberal arts, because you get that chance to figure out what's a good fit for you before you commit to something. So what's next? Where do you go from here? If liberal arts is for you, then you're going to be in liberal arts next September. We'll help you accept your offer to UCD. The liberal arts and science course is managed by the UCD College of Social Science and Law, and they have a program office within there, the liberal arts and science program office, that will be your touch point and your home at UCD for the first year or 2 while you're in liberal arts. So you'll have an advisor that's based within the liberal arts and science program office. Registration for all students starts in late August, early September. It's much later than what you'd experience in the US. If you go to a US university, or if you talk to your friends that go to US universities, they might register and get their first semester classes in like June or July. It works very differently in Ireland because the timeline is very different. Irish students coming out of high school don't find out where they've gotten into university until late August, early September. So a couple weeks before term starts, they'll find out what college they got into and what major they got into, which is very different because from North America, we're used to getting accepted into a college 10 months before university starts, whereas they're finding out 2 weeks. So everything happens in a slightly later timeline because of how Irish university systems work. But in late August, early September is when registration will start for modules. Liberal arts and science students are manually registered by UCD staff. So sometime over the summer, the liberal arts and science program office will reach out to our incoming liberal arts students, and they'll do kind of a survey to figure out what you're interested in and what you're trying to get out of liberal arts and science course. And once they figure out you're trying to decide between architecture and business, then they can help you create a module list for your first 2 trimesters at UCD that will give you an opportunity to explore both of those and maybe something else. And then they'll work with you in advising sessions to figure out what you want. So a big benefit of our liberal arts and science is you do get a lot of support because you have a lot of options and you're trying to work through tons of different programs and tons of different modules to figure out what's a good fit for you.